Right, SS2 students, welcome back to this class. This is your government third term scheme of work. That's in accordance with your third term scheme of work. Today we'll be discussing military regime, that is between July 1960 to July 1975. Here we'll be talking about General Yakubu Gowon's regime. General Yakubu Gowon's regime. So look at him. This man is still alive as of the time of recording this video. This is in the year 2020. So this is when he was still in army. So this is the man, Gowon, that created 12 states. In fact, he was the one that started the creation of states in Nigeria, which he started with 12 states. Alright, he's still alive till today as of the time of recording this video, which is 2020. Okay, then he was not general when he became the head of state. He was Lieutenant Colonel, now General Yakubu Gowon. Okay, let's look at the historical background. General Ironsi, Chief of Army Staff, became the head of state and the supreme commander of the armed forces on the overthrow of General Ironsi's government and became the head of state after the coup. His first act was to reinstate the federal system along with the 4 regions and their allotted functions. But relations between the federal government and the eastern region, led by military governor Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, were very strained, in addition to the elimination of many Igbo officers during the July coup. A massive pogrom against Igbos occurred in the northern region. That is, the Igbos were killed. As a result, when this man came into power, they were killed so massively. Then, in September, Colonel Gowon summoned an ad hoc constitutional conference to deliberate on the country's political future. Most regional delegates to the conference, with the exception of those from the Midwest, recommended a confederal system to replace the federal system. The delegates from the eastern region insisted that any region wishing to secede from the federation should be allowed to do so. The conference was ended abruptly by increased killings of Igbos in the north and the heightening of tensions between the federal government and the eastern region. A summit of military leaders at Abori, which is Ghana, in January 1967 attempted to resolve the disagreement and recommended the establishment of a base confederation of regions. The Abori agreement became a source of contention. Then we call it Abori Accord. So in anticipation of Eastern secession, Gowon moved quickly to weaken the support base of the region by decreasing the creation of 12 new states to replace the 4 regions. 6 of these states contain minority groups that had demanded state creation since the 1950s. Gowon rightly calculated that the eastern minorities would not actively support the Igbos, given the prospect of having their own state if the secession effort were defeated. Many of the federal troops who fought the civil war, known as the Biafran War, to bring the eastern region back to the federation, were members of the minority groups. Then the war lasted 30 months and ended in January 1970. In accepting Biafra unconditional ceasefire, Gowon declared that there would be no victor and no vanquish. In this spirit, the years afterward were declared to be a period of rehabilitation, reconciliation, and reconstruction. Okay, to be rehabilitation, reconstruction, and reconciliation. The oil price boom, which began as a result of the high price of crude oil, in the world market in 1973, increased the federal government's ability to undertake these tasks. Alright, so the post-war Gowon government issued a 9-point transition program that was to culminate in the handing over of power to a civilian government on October 1, 1976. The agenda of the transition included the organization of the armed forces, the completion of the establishment of the 12 states announced in 1967, in census, a new constitution, and election. Gowon initiated several nation-building policies, the most notable of which was the National Youth Service Corps (NYSC). So it was Gowon that introduced this National Youth Service, a community service institution that required 1 year of service by each Nigerian immediately after graduation from university or other institution of higher learning. Each member of the corps had to serve in a state other than his or her home state. Then the Gowon years also saw the oil boom and a buoyant economy. Alright, so during Gowon leadership, there was a very strong economy. Okay, let's look at the structure of his government. The structure of government under Gowon was basically unitarian system of government. At the apex of government was the All-Military Supreme Military Council (SMC), which was the law-making body for the entire federation. Its decrees could not be challenged in any law court. Most members of the Supreme Military Council, which is SMC, under Gowon were state governors. There was also a Federal Executive Council composed of military and civilian commissioners. The states also had commissioners appointed by the governor. Then the states were practically reduced to administrative units of the federal government, which in several domains made uniform laws for the country. This basic structure of military federalism has, with amendment, remained the same during all military government in Nigeria as a country. Okay, let's look at the some points. Okay, it is pertinent to mention some of the events that took place in General Yakubu administration. Let's look at it. The events that took place during his administration. So many of them. Number one, the extensive expansion and exploitation of Nigerian mineral resources. Okay. Number two, the reluctance of the governor of the eastern region, that is Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, to accept Colonel Yakubu Gowon as head of the army of the federation. Number three, the release from prison of Chief Awolowo on August 3, 1966. Number four, the restoration on August 31, 1966 of the federal system of government to the country. The next one is general disturbances in the country in October 1966, leading to the withdrawal into their homeland of most people of Eastern origin from other parts of the Federation. That is, during that period, that was the coming up of civil war. So most Igbo people returned home from wherever they are in the country. They moved back to southeast because of the perceived civil war, which later started 1967. Okay, the next event was various unsuccessful peace moves towards reconciliation in the country, which had now split into two factions, namely the Eastern and the rest of the Federal Republic. So the next event was the creation on May 27, 1967 of 12 states, each headed by a military governor out of the former 4 regions that we have. The next event was the unilateral declaration by Colonel Odumegwu Ojukwu on May 30, 1967 of an independent Republic of Biafra encompassing the entire former Eastern region. Then the next event that took place was the beginning on 6th July 1967 of what the federal government regarded as a police action to stop the secession of the Eastern region. That is the secession of the Eastern region. The next event was the declaration on August 9, 1967 of full-scale war on Biafra after its forces had invaded and captured the Midwest states. The next one was the collapse of Biafra on January 14, 1970, and its reunion with the Federal Republic of Nigeria after the escape out of the country of Colonel Ojukwu and his dismissal from the Nigeria Army. Okay, that's that. The next event that took place was the period of reconciliation and reconstruction following the secession hostilities. The next one was the introduction of various forms of bursaries, scholarships, and student loan scheme in 1970s. Okay, the next one was the announcement of salaries and wages review throughout the Federation to improve the lot of the ordinary people. And the last event that took place was the setting up of the first armed robbery and firearms tribunal in Lagos, which is in Lagos in January 1970. Okay, in our next class we'll be looking at 1975 to 1979 under Muhammadi/Obasanjo military regime. Thank you so much for being in the class. Please pursue knowledge. What you know today is 100% capable of helping you today and tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time.